The day that I went into foster care, the police brought me home after school, and the social worker told me what was going on and asked me to go upstairs and get changed. I went upstairs, put on skinny jeans, a white t-shirt, and sneakers. And when I came downstairs, my parent was very angry with what I was wearing, demanded I go upstairs and get changed, that I wasn't leaving their house looking like that because I looked like a slut. For the first time in years, I watched my behavior get shut down, and I was defended. The social worker put her hand up and said, "Oh, nope, you signed your rights over. You have no right to talk to her that way, and she's fine to wear that." At night, after that was all sorted out, she took me to McDonald's because they had no home for me. She warned me that I may have to go to a group home. I didn't want to go to a group home because my favorite movie growing up was Annie, and I thought that a group home was like Annie, like the orphanage. They called my foster parents and asked if I could stay there because they had one bed available, but they didn't want me because they had had a horrible, terrifying experience with a previous foster kid that was a girl. And my social worker begged them to take me. They explained I had no violent behavior, no behavioral issues, no, like nothing. So they agreed to take me. My foster parents were amazing. I remember when I arrived, my foster mom greeted me. My foster dad was not there. He traveled for work. I immediately became a part of their family. My foster mom would refer to me as her daughter to her friends, with my permission, of course. They had a little girl, I think she was 3 when I went into foster care. And her and I were always, like, we did everything together. We would go swimming in the backyard. We would play with her toys. We would watch movies. Whenever my foster mom would go shopping, I would go with her. We would always go to warehouse sales, where like these, it was just, I had so much fun with them all the time. I know not all foster homes are, the best. I know that there are people out there who should not be fostering, but my foster parents, they saved my life. I can't even begin to imagine the type of person I would have turned out to be if I stayed with my mom. Like any other typical teenage girl, I had, my my drama with my foster mom. Nothing that was beyond normal mother-daughter issues. Nothing beyond that. Still do have a relationship with my foster parents. My foster mom and my foster sister, so her younger daughter, which now is an adult, came to our wedding. I don't see them much at all, and that is more because I struggle being around anybody that's from my past. It throws me into panic attacks, even just thinking about going to meet with people. It has nothing to do with them. It just has to do with all the shit that happened during that time. But I still do keep in contact with my foster mom. Unfortunately, like many teens in care, I ended up around grade 11 starting to skip school. Still never did drugs or drank. I was petrified. I thought I would go to jail for doing that. I, at 17, decided that I was an adult and I did not want to follow the rules of my foster parents. Even my own teenager hates following the rules. So I ended up packing my stuff and I left. I moved out of my foster parents' house at 17. And I went to go live somewhere else, at which point I became pregnant with my oldest, Ryan. During the 4 years that I was in foster care, I had almost no contact with my mom. While I was in care, there were a lot of wild things happen. At one point, my social worker called my foster mom and said that my mom had just called them in a panic, saying that they saw me walking drunk around. I was rarely away from my foster parents unless I was at school. And when she made that accusation, at the same time, I was actually with my foster parents in a completely different city. They caught on real quick about antics. Another time, I went to my sister's elementary school because I wanted to see her. I wasn't allowed to see her at all when I was in foster care, and my high school was literally 2 minutes from her school. So I walked over and I went into the office and I said, could I see my sister? I wasn't allowed to see her. My parent had informed the office that I was in foster care, and there was actually a safety plan in place so that I couldn't see my sister at her school, which I understand the safety. You know, you can't just go into an elementary school and see kids, but at the time I remember being so hurt. But because of that situation, my parent had called my social worker and made up this whole thing that they were concerned that I was trying to take my sister. I had zero contact with my sister during this time. My parent made sure that I had no way of contacting her. I later found out that everyone in my family had been told that I asked to go into foster care. My younger sister, 5 years younger than me, believed that I wanted nothing to do with her or my parents. I didn't find this out until I was in my 20s. So at 17, I packed my stuff and I moved out of my foster mom's house, lived somewhere, and I ended up getting pregnant. I was terrified, and I went to my Nan and Pa's house. They were very old school people. They were in their late 60s, and they did not want me to keep my oldest, my baby. They said that if I had given birth, they would not allow me to live there. I don't agree with the choices that they made, the things that they said to me, but I understand it was just kind of all in fear, and they thought that it would ruin my life, yada yada. At one point when I was pregnant with Ryan, I actually had a binder from an adoption agency, and I was looking through profiles of potential adoptive parents. At one point, I had chosen a family to adopt Ryan. Nothing was official. I hadn't signed anything. I hadn't met them yet. But based on what I had read in the binder, I had chosen a family for my son. Ryan knows this. So no one get concerned that I'm outing all of this. He knows this. He's known this for years. It somehow got back to my that I was pregnant and was giving up the baby for adoption. I have two very different sides feelings about kind of what happened next. It's a good thing that came back into my life, or I wouldn't have Ryan now. He would have probably been put into an adoptive home. But at the same time, what happened next was hands down the worst thing that ever happened to me growing up.